Yes. Welcome to No Ideas Original Podcast featuring Shannon, Mr. Rob, and coming soon, Zane. Zane should be here shortly joining us.
Pulling up. He should pull up in a minute.
Zane got to make the grand entrance.
Guess he's getting his nails done right now.
Yeah. But you'll notice on the screen we have our email on the screen. The reason why we put the email on the screen is because as we're growing in popularity, and doing these interviews, we're starting to notice that every now and then some of our videos may get a dislike, which is nothing wrong with that, but we're open to feedback. We want to hear what it is that people think that we could be doing different with the interviews or with the program so we can continue to grow the podcast. So, if it's something that you dislike about the show, then it's perfectly fine to leave in the comment section or to email us and let us know. And I want to put that out there because I do get a lot of feedback. We have some people that watch us on live. We have some people that watch like the replays. We have some people that ghost watch us. We get a lot of support that we always mention from folks on the live. Of course, our families watch the show. I have friends that I grew up with that I know that watch the show and they give me feedback. My man Pete and his wife, they watch the show. When Joey, who I grew up with, watches the show. Diana, who I went to junior high school with, watches the show. Other people that I grew up with on my block. I know Corey watches the show. So just a lot of good people that watch and give me feedback on the different topics. And that's what we want because we want the podcast to grow and we want to be able to bring people good content.
That's a fact.
Yo, so we stepping out of our lane for this episode right here because, we usually don't do the tea really or the gossip.
No, we try to stay away from the gossip because, everyone is always with the tidbits and the sound bites and the clickbaits and all that stuff.
Yeah, we don't really.
We're gonna dive in. Yeah, I think we're gonna dive in and kind of open up some topics about a couple things.
Yeah, but so what we decided to do was actually use this episode right here to talk a little bit about just some of the recent things that we've seen in the news and give our take on it. Of course, relevant to what we love most, hip hop. So
entrepreneurialism, working for yourself, knowledge of self.
Yeah, so we keeping with the theme. Let's kick it off right away. Talk about Master P on the Breakfast Club, man. Master P be on the Breakfast Club so much. It's kind of like you ever see Vlad when Vlad used to have Lord Jamar up there every other day.
Yes, sir.
That's what I feel like. I feel like Master P and Kurt Franklin stay on the Breakfast Club.
Yes, sir. And it's the viewership. You know how many people watch Hot 97. Listen to me, the Breakfast Club, and they always have great guests. But P. This nigga got fish fries. This nigga got bacon goods. He got cereal. Got sneakers. And his motto is product outweighs talent. And I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
I do agree with that. When you got a good product, you can put it out there and it speaks for itself, man, across the board, you can take it anywhere you want to go. And P is that guy. He tells you coming from New Orleans, all the things he done been through, movies, sneakers, whatever the case. He's showing and proving, you don't really need that much of I won't say an education. You just need a little will and desire to want to see yourself succeed, and you will do it.
Yeah, it's the old adage, right? Like you got to outwork. You have all the talent in the world, but somebody who's willing to work hard is going to surpass that talent. He had cereal. He had the fish fry. He had the sneakers. Anything you could think of. We have for sale.
His cereal.
Hootie Hoos, right? They the Hootie Hoos?
Hootie Hoos. Yo, listen, and that should tell you, the imagination is unlimited.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about a culture. Our culture is $1 trillion spending culture. We don't have to spend with nobody else. We can spend with ourselves and still reap the reward. You know what I'm saying? Because we just like to buy stuff. And listen, man, I'm thinking about jumping into the little fashion world myself because I'm watching so many different designers come out of people's closet. People are just having the desire to get a t-shirt turn into a sweatshirt, turn into a hoodie, turn into socks. Then you got hats. Before you know it, niggas got leather coats.
Got a whole
You know what I'm saying? They got department stores coming out of their house, and I'm a kind of a fashion guy. I like to look clean and decent.
Yo, Master P had it's funny because in that interview he was he contradicted himself a little bit. He started talking about Clubhouse. And when he was talking about Clubhouse, he was talking about how Clubhouse got $1 billion valuation. And he was saying that he prefers Cookout over Clubhouse.
Now, is Cookout another?
Cookout is another app. Cookout's another app that's similar to the Clubhouse feel. And Cookout had their own thing because Cookout was going back and forth with, there was an original app named Cookout. And I think the Cookout that he's talking about, I think got served like a cease and desist. And now I think they're in the process of switching their name. But he was saying that Clubhouse got that $1 billion valuation and that they got it on the back of predominantly African Americans, right? So I was riding with him. I'm listening to how I was riding with him. And I'm like, all right, I get that. You know, he was like, if we support each other and we purchase each other products and we do this and do that. Right. And then Charlamagne hit him with a key question, which I don't think he answered wrong. Charlamagne was saying everybody talks about ownership of things and everybody wants to be an owner. Mm-hmm. So Charlamagne said, he was like, well, everybody wanted to be an owner. Is it okay to do a business deal? And I guess Charlamagne was saying, like, if somebody came along like Quaker Oats and wanted to buy his cereal from him, mm-hmm. how would he feel about, or buy and partner with him? He was like, there's nothing wrong with partnerships so long as I own the majority. And to me, I was like, that's it. Yo, that's what I think entrepreneurs need to hear, because I think sometimes people get so bogged down in ownership that they lose sight of it and don't realize that if, 100% of zero is zero. Zero. But 51% of $1 million or whatever it is.
That's right.
Yo, that's $510,000, right?
And you got to say to yourself too, who are you linking up with? What advantages do I have with merging with someone? Maybe they have the marketing team. Maybe they have the advertising team. I have a nice brand, but how do I get it recognized? How do I get it to where 1 million viewers can see it? That's the reason why he's on the Breakfast Club, because there's 1 million, 2 million, 3 million people watching it every single morning.
And that's why he had all his products laid out on the table.
Son, all across the joint. Everything. He had butter, he had candy, everything. I'm like, yo, it's got a supermarket right here, man. But so, like he says, product over talent.
Yeah, that's what I was saying though. Like, I guess, like, I don't know if they was trying to trip him up to say, like, all right, if you're saying that we need to only buy black and spend black, why are you willing to partner with people that aren't black? And then he was saying, I don't know how, but he switched and he was like, well, we need to have product for everybody beyond just catering to the black market. The black community. So to me, I'm like,
he goes from a black community argument, now he's universal. Which one are you? Universal, or are you just for your people? You know what I mean?
You know what I think it is? I think he's about ownership, but I think at the end of the day, he about getting to that bag and getting money.
Absolutely.
And you made a good point, Rob, because even when you're talking about like the partnership, and when we talk about this with Kixie Jixie about him partnering with Baron Davis and them trying to get Reebok, like, everybody pissed off because they like, yo, his design sense. But to me, Master P to me is like a mentor in my head. Like, when I hear Master P talk, I get motivated, and I don't look at him for his fashion. Like, I've never bought a piece of No Limit clothes.
I've got a No Limit CD.
Me either.
Only song I like was Kanye, and I got into a fight in the club over that fucking song.
Yo, some of his music, some of his film, the dude is an entrepreneur. So what he could bring to a brand like Reebok, because Reebok already got the name, Reebok already has the distribution of factories and stuff like that to make it happen. Right. That's undeniable. Like, yo, the dude is a great
designers. You just need a couple of good designers that come up with some fresh ideas. Maybe give Reebok a different look, maybe a different shoe, maybe a signature shoe now. Because you got the Air, Adidas got one, and Puma got one. Puma's coming out with a nice slew of sneakers too, man.
He need a Kixie Jixie. You know that, right?
Huh?
He need a Kixie Jixie.
Yeah, you need somebody like her, man, to come in and just get a fresh pair of eyes. Someone who's in the sneaker world, who knows what a good shoe looks like. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And she's on it, man. Her family saw her, right, dude.
Yeah, he need a Kixie Jixie. But to me, like, yo, the key takeaway from that interview for me was when he said that we all talk about ownership, and ownership now is such a topic that it's become so prevalent, especially I think in the world of like podcasting, because everybody's seeing the deal that Charlamagne got everybody sees what Joe Budden is doing, and people are looking at their situation and trying to apply it to their.
I want that bag, son.
Yeah, I want that deal, but not realizing that, you know what, like if somebody comes along and they make a deal based on where you are, you need to be receptive. You need to be receptive to it. I learned that from 50 Cent, because in 50 book, 50 talked about that. 50 actually in his book talked about how he walked Gilly into Interscope. He walked Gilly the Kid into Interscope, and Gilly the Kid was stuck on a number, and because Interscope didn't offer Gilly the kind of money he wanted, that Gilly didn't take the deal and ended up signing with Suave House. And Gilly's a great podcaster. Gilly's a great personality. Hell, Gilly to me is a good rapper, but in terms of like selling records, imagine what Gilly could have possibly have done on Interscope versus Suave House if he didn't have that number stuck in his head.
Exactly. And you know, deals are meant to be broken. I'm gonna keep it real. But also, before you sit down and carve out a deal, even with the situation that we might embark on with Mike, the deal is, it has to benefit all of us. And then, you know, with his expertise and what he has going on, we want the viewership. But if he can't get us the viewership, why are we gonna do the deal?
Yeah, you make a good point. At the end of the day, that's what a deal is about, right? It has to be beneficial.
The deal is about one hand washes the other, both hands wash the face. If we can't keep the body clean, we can't make no money.
Yeah, it's beneficial to both parties. So I encourage people, if they haven't had an opportunity to watch that interview, Like Master P, you can say whatever you want. Like I said, like his fashion sense, I'm not a fan of his fashion sense, you know.
I'm living off of that quote: product outweighs talent.
Yeah, the man knows what he's talking about when it comes to fashion. And now talking about Gilly, switching gears because we did bring up Gilly. Funkmaster Flex was on the $1 Million Worth of Game podcast, and he was on with Gilly and Wallow, and the subject of young rappers came up. And Funkmaster Flex was talking about how older rappers need to be more receptive to how the industry works and learn from younger rappers. And he used some key examples. One thing he said is that, and I never thought of it this way, he said back in the days, a lot of the young rappers, well, not back in the days, but you know, previously, young rappers were going to these older rappers for features because they admired them. And the old rappers were kind of pricing themselves out of the game, asking for all this money to get on a feature with them. And what the young rappers did was, young rappers have established themselves and blew up their brand by way of social media, with like the Instagram stuff.
Yeah. Visibility of social media.
Yeah, it's YouTube, their SoundCloud and everything. And they've really took the label out the game.
Yes, sir.
Out the game. And what Flex was basically saying was that the older rappers are using these antiquated methods that don't allow them to be successful. That's what he was saying. He was like, yo, if you dropping one album a year now, it's a wrap for you. And he used the example, I don't think he directly said Fabulous, but Fabulous somehow name came up in the topic because they were talking about like the top 10, top 20 or whatever it was. And he was like, think about all the dudes that you listing and saying that these are dope rappers. He was like, yo, where's that album at? And then the other thing he did say, this is how Fabulous came up, because he was like, people get mad at DJs and mad at everybody else when their albums don't take off how they supposed to take off, and never take ownership that their album didn't really pop the way they thought it would pop. So I'm wondering, like, did you see the interview, and what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that older rappers need to take more cues from the younger rappers?
Absolutely. And you got to remember, this is a world, we're living in a world where the younger population, they're running shit. Look at what happened in GameStop, right? You got to remember, these kids that's playing games, this is the ages of 15 to 25. We have more 15-year-old millionaires than we've ever had in our entire existence. The visibility of social media, whether it's IG, Facebook, Clubhouse, TikTok, they're marketing themselves 24/7. So before you used to tell a kid, well, get off of the video game. Now the video game turned to social media. So since you're an artist and you got all these studios, and these guys are building studios off of their iPhone, they're in a studio 24/7. So they're making music hand over foot then sending it out. Once it's made, they're sending it out. I made the song, I'm sending it out. I made the song, I'm sending it out. They got someone that's doing the artwork, someone's doing the marketing, someone's doing the advertising, and they're on it clockwork. As in the past, you got an A&R, you got this person doing this, you got a street team, someone else is doing the legwork. These kids is like, yo, I'm cutting the middleman. I can see what y'all have been doing. This is the reason why it's not working. But just like an old man, it's like, I'm stuck in my ways. I'm not going to. You know what I'm saying? This is how I've been doing it. You need what I got. And Flex is right, man. The older cats ran themselves in the mud by charging these guys out of the wazoo for a feature. And it's like, nigga, I don't need no feature from you. You're going to charge me for that? I respect you. Taking half my budget, asking for $100,000 for 16 bars. Come on, man. Listen, man. You know, the younger generation, some of them, you really have to pay attention to. And I use my example as one. I have two daughters. One who's a pure millennial. She don't want to do shit. But then there's another one who, she's so vibrant. She's so eclectic. She's a fashionista. I even ask her, how does look, Dave? You know what I'm saying? But I respect and not that I want to kind of mend into today's times, but I don't want to drift off to where I'm totally out of the game too. So, son, and I watch what she's wearing. I watch how she looks at me when I'm wearing. I'm like, all right, am I in or am I out? You know what I mean, let me know. Listen, you gotta stay close to the youth, man. For real, especially in this climate.
The youth lead every movement, though. Like, if you think about when in the summer, when everything was going on with the Black Lives Matter movement, it's always all about the youth. Like, most of them had it right. Leaders of the new school. It's always going to be the youth that usher in the movement.
Or the fresh thoughts.
Yeah.
So just taking an idea from the past and throw a little spin on it and turn it into something, man.
Yeah, but it's true. It's like what you say. Like, sometimes people get old. So this is what bugs me out, though. Like, when people have done things over and over again and you have no success, so you be like, I'm gonna do more of that, or I'm gonna continue to do it. If you've done it over and over and you haven't had any success, your music could be fire, whatever it is, and you can't, and it's not moving like how it once moved. That means that it's not connecting with the audience. So you have to be able to go back to the drawing board and do something different. But we're using Funkmaster Flex was talking about this in the context of music, but this is just in general in life.
In general, that's how I looked at it. Yep.
Yeah, like you have to be able to evolve. And if you can't evolve and see like, all right, the times calls for me to now be doing this. And you're gonna you're done. It's almost like when we were recording live, right? And we was like, damn, we can't record live no more. If we had said we ain't gonna record live no more, then we wouldn't have been 50 some episodes in the show. Yeah, like
and getting the viewership that we were getting, man.
Yeah, you have to be flexible. And what happens?
But you know what I think it is though? Technology scare a lot of people. People don't like buttons. People don't like, how do you do that? I give an example. Not too long ago, I wanted to buy something, on the internet or whatever. And the only way I can buy it was through Bitcoin. Oh my God. Yo, son, and you talk about a headache. This shit was a headache. Gotta buy a Bit wallet.
The digital wallet.
The digital wallet, the conversions, and when you finally get the Bitcoins, you got an address. The address is these numbers and letters. Yo, it was like, I said, if this is the way this is going, and is not gonna ever, niggas gonna be broke. Niggas are gonna be buying nothing. People are gonna really be going in the garden, growing their food, I'm telling you, making their clothes, because if this is the new wave, it's gonna be cumbersome. And I think a lot of times with people in their older ways, they rather write a check and then swipe a card. You know what I'm saying? People are still in that easy way or the convenient way, and they don't want to dive into technology.
Well, you make a good point, because what I was gonna say is, I think that what happens is when you've had success doing something another way, it's almost like, in the past I've had success doing this, so why do I need to change now? So a perfect example with B, and we spoke to Father MC earlier this week. When Father MC at the height of his career, there were street teams where people were going around plastering paper
all over the place.
All over the place. And that was promotion. You wrap your van or whatever it was, that was promotion. But now Father MC is online, him and his manager, digital flyer, we're gonna do a listening party virtually. And people realize, like, if you want to keep up with the times, you have to move along. And it's dangerous though, like I said, like when people have success though, it's hard for them to move out the way because they like, I won with this method before.
Right. They can flip it. I can flip again. I can flip mines.
Yeah. You think about like, you play sports. You play sports, and there's some people who, regardless of whatever it is, I'm sure you play for coaches where the game plan stay the same, and you be like, that game plan is not working.
Not working, son. Switch it up. It's not working, son. Yeah. I mean, you got to be willing to take risks. You got to be willing to see, where it is that you may want to change. And change is hard for people, man. People do not love change, man. It's a difficult thing to adjust to. So, listen, man, I got my ear to the streets always. I'm always listening and watching what these kids are doing, and I'm staying abreast. I'm gonna keep it real. That's how my mom's kind of just kept around. She was like, "What you doing, Rob?" She was always. My mom would come to me at parties sometimes.
What you listening to? Who's that?
Who's that? Oh, I like that coat. Them coat. You know what I'm saying? She stayed. It wasn't what she would do, but she would stay abreast on what was going on. So if a conversation came, she can dive in or be a part of it. So
when Jay-Z's Black album came out, we used to carpool the work, me and my brothers, and we used to pick my mom up at the end of the day. We played that album so much that my mom knew that album from front to back. And to this day, she still be like, "Oh man, that's my favorite Jay-Z album." Yeah. On another note, I thought the Funkmaster Flex interview with Gilly the Kid and Wallow, I thought it was a good episode that they had, and I liked it because Funkmaster Flex was honest, and
he's always honest, and people don't like him for that. I respect Flex for being honest, man.
Yeah, he was honest. Like he didn't backpedal. He didn't try to manipulate or change his list. He said what it is, like, and Flex is deep rooted, I feel like, in like pioneers of hip hop. Gilly was trying to get him to move on his placement at KRS-One, and because Gilly was like, "Yo, KRS-One is not relevant now," and yada yada yada, and Flex stuck to his guns though. He stuck to his, and he was open about his lipo too.
Yo, son, listen, man. Everything is transparent, and actually, transparent is content. Transparency is content. People want to know what's deep down going on, what you got going. People want to know, and as long as you got a person's ear, fill it up, fill the cup up. Tell them, let them know, and the more they paying attention, let them know some more, and you know what I'm saying, and then it'll work out for you, I guess.
Yeah,
that's how Flex feels.
Speaking of ears, everybody's eyes recently has been on this Kim and Kanye possible divorce. I saw something online where Kim Kardashian was sitting, like, I guess, in a bathing suit, and she had on a pair of Yeezys. And a lot of times when I see like those pictures, rather than look at the pictures, I go straight to the comments because I know it's going to be pure comedy. You ever just scroll the comments of some of this stuff, Rob, and read the comments?
Yo, sir, I be bugging like
somebody in the comments is like, you getting a divorce, you don't have to wear those ugly ass shoes no more. Yo,
honestly, I never liked the Yeezys, man.
Yo,
never liked them. I'll tell you one thing about this. I read a couple of excerpts, and it said, Kim is working out the logistics.
Oh, yo, hold on. Before you go any further, let me say this: like, I'm not surprised that she's working out the logistics because, her and her mom are great businesswomen, so I'm sure that they got it down to a T.
That's language for your ass is in trouble. Kanye's like, why can't she just hurry up? Nah, nigga, she making sure every decimal, every dot, every T is crossed. Because when that check clears, nigga, you giving up that bread for all them children, for North and for West and whatever other kids you got. He's making sure she ain't coming out of her pocket for none of her stuff. Kanye's gonna pay for all that.
I want to know, like, her net worth got to be up there with him. I mean, I've heard self-proclaimed him say that he's worth. I heard he said he was worth $1 billion. I don't know if that's the case. Who knows? Maybe he is. Who knows? I don't know. Who am I to say? But Kim Kardashian is a hell of a businesswoman that's definitely not hurting. So I think her separation from a dude like him is not so much about money. I think it's just that she underestimated just how much mental illness, or just how much mental illness will play a role in her relationship.
Nah,
And I think she just got to the point where she probably like, yo, my hands are tied. I can't keep doing this. I got my children that I got to deal with. You going on these rants where you insult my mom. You out here getting crazy with your MAGA hat on, or
right. It's not about family, because if you insult my mom, you got to remember that's your
and that's big to them.
That's your kid's grandmother, B.
Yeah. But yo, that's big to them. Think about it. They on TV and all they constantly put in everybody's face.
It's family oriented, man. Yes, sir. You can't do that. And I get it, man. But I tell you this, we'll get some good music out of Kanye.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think
either we will or we won't. We're gonna get something out of it,
man.
We're gonna get something out of it. We're gonna get the resurgence of that hip hop Kanye, or he's going up the deep end. He's gonna do a country album. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I don't. You know what? I think Kanye's time in music as a rapper, like his content right now, just doesn't appeal to me. And not because I don't like gospel. It's just that the music hasn't been good.
And there's nothing wrong with change. I think, some things have happened in Kanye's life, as we've seen. Mm-hmm. And I think he's just reached a point where he might be a little tired of all of the bullshit he's gotten himself in. And a lot of people, I just know from my people, they run the church. Mm-hmm. They run to religion because they think that's what's going to cleanse you. Nah, it's your thinking that's going to cleanse you. If you're changing, if your mental stability doesn't change, nothing else changes. You can go to the synagogue. It ain't going to change if you don't want to change yourself. So Kanye needs to look at himself and change the way and just kind of stick to the script that got him to where he is today. I think he's coming off the deep end, being an artist. Now, when you call yourself an artist, that's a broad stroke. Mm-hmm. An artist can mean anything, pretty much.
Any type of creative.
I can throw shit on the wall and put a frame around it, and it can sell for $1 million. You know what I'm saying? Because I called it art. You know what I mean? But there's also some integrity in art, because you have viewers, you have people that are listening, you have people that are watching. You want to make sure you convey a proper message and the right message. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to just throw some shit up in there and have a nigga scratching his head like, what the fuck? And I think that's what Kanye left me. What, 808 Heartbreaks or whatever. I'm like, what happened?
Yo, but I will say this.
Dropout was the shit. Like,
I wasn't a fan of 808 and Heartbreaks, but I respect the create. Like, I like to see creatives take a risk. But the way he's at now, it's not for me. My thing with, I think, Kanye and Kim Kardashian's marriage, and again, this is all speculation and this rumor because we haven't formally heard that they're divorcing. But I think Kim is finding out what it really means to be in a relationship with somebody who has severe or profound mental illness, and
being in a public eye don't help it any better either.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. And then he's true definition of bipolar. Like, the dude cycles. Like, you could tell literally when he's manic and he's going through his mania. Like, he pops up in the news and he's just saying bizarre things, and you get 57 tweets, and you get a rant about his record contract, and it's just stuff that I think that they prefer to probably lay low on. And honestly, I don't know if she believes that is good for her brand. I think that.
What is her brand?
Well, his beauty's her brand.
Oh, well, right.
Here's what I'll say. And people may disagree. I'd be interested. Leave it in the comments after you watch this video back. Usually, when people have these type of relationships, people start saying, "Okay, so who elevated who?" I don't know if Kanye elevated Kim Kardashian or brought her to another world that she didn't already exist.
Right.
Because she already existed in the hip hop space because of her tape with Ray J. Right. So it wasn't like that. It was like, okay, this is newfound woman that's new on the scene and this, that. But I would say that she introduced him to an audience that may not necessarily have been aware of him outside of him going off on Taylor Swift.
That's a fact.
So, and I think that I think that this relationship probably was more beneficial. I don't say mutually beneficial.
Kanye.
She got children out of it too. You
Mm-hmm.
know, she did get children out of it, but I think that Kanye really benefited from the visibility and probably gave him a little bit of legitimacy and a little bit of legitimacy in another world, if that makes sense. Like he was already cemented in the world of hip hop. We already knew who
Yeah,
Kanye was.
we knew who he was in our culture, but
Yeah,
in a broader scope,
Middle America and
America, maybe whatever techie world, whoever was following Kim ended up following Kanye as well. So she definitely opened him up to a different audience.
yeah,
I do definitely agree with that. And she was already, like you said, she understood the power of press and notoriety, whether it was negative or positive.
hmm
You know what I mean? She has her reputation as what it was or what it is, and she took full advantage of that. She took full advantage of all that press that she was getting negative and turned it into a show. Now the show is syndicated. It's all over the damn world, and they're
yeah.
just watching these people live their life. That's all they're
And
doing.
they're taking it. They're leaving E, but they're going somewhere, I believe. I think
I'm
it's this
I
the
have
last.
all the network soon, son.
Or going somewhere on going to another network. But yeah, so I mean, I think the dust up when it's all said and done, both of them are gonna land on their feet. I'm with you, Rob. Though I hope this does trigger something where Kanye kind of snaps back into the old creative hip hop Kanye. Like, because when the dude is on, he
He's
on. Like he
good,
cooks
man.
when he's on, you know.
And I
But
know he's sitting on. He got to be sitting on. He got to be sitting on something.
I'm
Like,
sure he is. I'm sure he is. I'm sure he is. Like that's a dude whose work ethic also. Like when he lock in, he locks in. But I see, speaking of Kanye, I saw a bizarre video from him also. Did you see the video of Kanye and Chance the Rapper?
no.
Kanye and Chance the Rapper were in the studio and they was working on that Life of Pablo album because Chance the Rapper wrote a lot of those songs and performed on quite a few of them. And Chance the Rapper must have been saying something to him about one of the songs. And Kanye just had like this huge outburst and was like, "I'm the superstar. It's me. I'm the super." Like, and just start going off on Chance the Rapper.
It's that shit. That right there, that fucking Tourette's that he got. He just blurting out with stuff, and it's like, yo, bro. But see, he's a Gemini.
He's
Gemini's living. They always live in two different worlds. They live in two different spaces, and they can never differentiate which one.
I mean, I'm a Gemini. I know.
And right, and from a Gemini's perspective, but you're a Gemini that's under control.
I'm not. I don't think I'm mentally ill.
because there's a foundation base. Your wife, your children, your brothers. You do things communally to do things together. Mm-hmm. But when you're out in the world and you don't know if this person is being truthful, this person is lying, you get that going back and forth already with your dual behavior. Mm-hmm. But you're trying to differentiate all the other stuff. Yo, son, I've dated Gemini women, and trust me, man, once they get in their head, it's hard, man. It really is hard. Once they stick to their guns or they feel a certain way, it's a wrap, man.
Yeah.
It's
another thing Kanye got to deal with. Kanye right now under fire by the people in the choir and performers when he was doing that Sunday service. Now they trying to come out the woodwork and sue him.
Oh, he got issue with the church folk, not the congregation.
Yep.
He's just gonna walk on his ass now. He better stop. I'm trying.
Issues. Have you been keeping up with the Tiny and T.I. trafficking allegations?
What in the world is going on out here, son? Their show has been suspended.
Yeah.
Stop.
I saw on Atlanta Housewives. I saw on Atlanta Housewives though. Homegirl Candy. Candy that used to be down with Escape. Mm-hmm. Candy, she was saying something that when her and her husband have threesomes, that they make whoever's involved with them sign an NDA.
Niggas is dirty in Atlanta, son. There's a lot of dirty shit going on. There's dirty parties going on out there. They don't want to wear their mask in Atlanta. They in parties, they in clubs. Let me tell you something. Allegations like sexual abuse like that, that's serious stuff, man. You can't play with that stuff, man. And to think, some of the allegations, they were drugging people, coercing them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I see sex trafficking in there. Like, what are they doing down there?
I hate to laugh, but
Son, what are they doing down there, son? They still in that freaknik life down there in
yo,
Atlanta.
you see that the women retain that ambulance chaser lawyer, Lisa Bloom.
Yeah.
Lisa Bloom on every.
She likes shit like that, though.
Yeah, yo, when Nene was suing, trying to get money from Bravo, she was on that. When Homegirl said Usher gave her herpes, she was on that.
They got a history. T.I. and Tiny got a history of accusers, though. So, yeah, man. I mean, I don't know, man. And come to find out, I didn't even know Tip was a professor at Clark Atlanta.
He is? I didn't know that.
He's a professor at Clark Atlanta.
Yeah, I didn't know
that. They mentioned that this has no connection to the show, so has nothing to do with this show.
Of course, because nobody want to be associated with that.
But I can see him and Tiny
allegedly
grabbing some chicks and be like, "Yo, why don't you come over to the palace? Huh? We got it going on. Pull up." And him in his southern slur. You know how he like to talk. He
expeditiously come over to the crib expeditiously.
And I have the drinks for you, baby. At least I can see all that happen. I'm sorry, man.
I'm interested in fornicating tonight.
Me and my baby girl. You know what I mean? Yo, son, drugs, coercion, trafficking. Those are heavy allegations, man. Sex abuse.
I haven't heard anything about them retaining an attorney yet, though. Have you heard anything about them retaining an attorney?
No, I think they're pretty much in the pocket of someone who's always trying to get some money. We're good. None of this happened. They're pretty much staying calm with it. They're not overreacting. So,
it's funny.
It's just someone trying to get some money. Niggas trying to Bill Cosby their ass right now.
Yo, it's funny you say that though, because a public relations tactic of late is, when people say stuff, you don't respond, and then usually it goes away. But right. these are civil allegations. Like, yo, somebody literally suing you for this that potentially could lead to a criminal lawsuit. At some point, they gotta retain an attorney.
I mean, somebody got drunk, didn't know where they were, probably woke up with their panties. They don't walk with their clothes off. Like, where am I? And see Tiny come out of the bathroom. Like, what the fuck? Where am I?
But they said they drug other people's names in it, because now I'm hearing other people involved. Allegedly, Candy was mentioned, LaToya Luckett.
Lots of in Atlanta, man. Yeah, all the mansion parties be something else out here, be real.
Yeah, it's unfortunate though, because I don't know. I don't want to speculate. I don't know how they're gonna resolve.
I pray nothing is happening. I pray nothing has happened, and this is someone trying to extort, because that always happens too. Someone trying to get some money out of you. They find out they lied, and then it goes away. So,
well, here's the $1 million question: if it did happen and you were them, would you pay to make it go away?
He put me on the spot, son. He be like, if I had the money, yo, listen, I probably would.
Yo, it's funny.
It's just so I don't have to deal with the backlash. But then it's like, yo, then the question is gonna be, what type of freaky shit are you into? You gonna paying motherfuckers off?
Yo, but you know what? The reason why I asked you that, because I've seen two different approaches to this. Actually, I've seen a couple. So you have Mark Jackson, the basketball player Mark Jackson, that was the head coach of Golden State. Did you ever hear about what happened with him?
Well, as far as the homosexuality thing?
No, he had a woman, I guess. He was married and he got with some woman, and the woman began to attempt to extort him. So he ended up going to the NBA, and the NBA went to the FBI and all that or whatever, and they ended up arresting the woman because the woman was trying to extort him, telling him, basically saying she was going to blackmail him. Brian Cashman did the same thing. Like, Brian Cashman was involved with some lady.
Brian Cashman, Yankee man?
Yankees, yeah. And the lady ended up telling him, like, yo, if you don't give me X amount of dollars, I'm telling your wife.
Right, it's an extortion move. Right.
Yeah, he ended up going to FBI, ended up getting her arrested.
Mm-hmm.
And then So it's different schools of thoughts with this. One of the things though is that I remember seeing an interview somewhere with Michael Jackson, and somebody put Michael Jackson on the spot, and it was like, if all of these accusations are false, why do you pay him?
Right.
And Michael Jackson's position around it was that, I pay them because my attorneys tell me, and attorneys will tell you this. Attorneys will tell you it's going to cost you more in litigation than the actual settlement. That's why they always want to push for let's get a settlement, right? But to the public eye, it's just what you said. It's an admission of guilt. Like, you paid these people off because you did it. Then there's other people like Usher didn't pay Homegirl off that was saying that she gave him herpes. I think Usher filed a countersuit against her for like defamation or something like that.
Because from a litigation standpoint, now, can you keep up with litigation?
And that's the strategy. That's the strategy. Like, for people like that, when you countersue them, if you got the money, you could take them in deep water. They can't afford to pay those legal bills. The only time that they get people to stick around is like the Lisa Blooms of the world, because Lisa Bloom is thinking about the big payday. Like, if I do this pro bono, if the person do win, the windfall is going to be crazy bread. But that's when you see a lot of these people, they change attorneys over and over. Like, Lisa Bloom is no longer representing me. Now Celino and Bonds representing me. Now it's 18888 injury.
Yo, that's crazy.
Oh, they go to the court, and the judge be like, "Yo, wait a minute, don't you handle slip and falls, and you in an entertainment
lawyer now? What are you doing in a sex case?"
Yo, now it's no longer Lisa Bloom. Now it's my cousin Vinny. It's so, yo, how you call it? But honestly, all jokes aside, though, I think that they do need to think about retaining some good a good attorney.
I'm sure they are. They have some legal counsel. Either to go forward or not to go forward. So
when you have that kind of money, though, you have an attorney on retainer, like on speed dial, that can step in.
And making that type of money, so there's no way in the world. I gotta go get a lawyer. You don't have one.
You know what scares me though? Like, the danger with paying people is like, once you become a payer, and I think I seen somewhere
you become a target, B.
Yeah, and then people be like, yo, you know what? Just make the allegation. This person gonna pay to make it go away.
Chanel giving up that bag. Go to Chanel.
Yeah. And as you open it, here's another lawsuit. What you want? $50K. All right. Yeah. So you gotta be mindful.
Yes, sir.
You really gotta be mindful. Paying. Oh man, yo, that video that I sent y'all, I thought that was So for those who haven't seen it, Styles P, another dude who's doing amazing things. Styles P had a post on Instagram, and he was basically talking about how after all these years that Sony and his publishing at Sony is not correct. And I think he said he makes less than $30,000 a year.
25.
And here's the thing. He said that when people hear publishing and they hear Styles P and the Locks, the first place they go is Diddy. And he said it don't have nothing to do with Diddy. It got everything to do with Sony. The one thing he said about Diddy is he said that he found out that when they recorded I Always Love Big Papa, that it was supposed to be a record for charity and nobody's supposed to get royalties or publishing from it. But he said he found out that people were collecting publishing from it. So
so what
he was basically saying is he was saying that if he had to live solely off his publishing, how would he be able to afford to pay his mortgage or whatever his regular expenses are? Now, this is a dude who I think he got 3 or 4 juice bars. He got a pharmacy. He has other endeavors and other things going on. He's still making music, but what he's proposing is that there needs to be a union to help rappers, cover this stuff, because he's saying, and remember we spoke earlier about this, about things that are antiquated. He's saying that the same formula that people use to calculate royalties and publishing years ago is still in place and it's hindering the artists.
Yo, it's highway robbery. It's highway robbery. How is it that the writers, these are the MCs, people that actually, the music that you're hearing along with the tune, are not getting compensated for these great works that we hear, this music that we hear, and who is the ones getting paid? Who is getting all that extra money? Is it the violinist?
I could tell you a lot of times.
Even some producers don't even get paid. I think Pete Rock got a situation with Sony too. Sony's not giving up no money. Sony is just like, I'm not paying you.
Well, think about,
and that's a litigation. That's a litigation situation that these guys don't have long arms for. That's the reason why you need a union, because you don't have no litigation to go up against some of these juggernauts. You know what I'm saying?
Well, think about what Father MC told us when he said that he did I'll Do For You. Didn't he say Cheryl Lynn wanted 100% of the publishing?
And she got it. And she got it. 100%.
So when you start breaking it down, you look at the artist, probably the producer, probably who, if the artist is sold portions of their publishing also in there. If you have somebody ghost writing an assistant and they're listed as a writer, because what happens is when people put their name on this, like, so for Father MC, Cheryl Lynn got all the publishing. Cheryl Lynn, but whoever was involved with actually producing that record and doing all that. Yeah, so there's so many hands in that pot that by the time they, and I want to go back because remember we spoke to Garfield Bright? And Dr. Garfield Bright, he was telling us that I think that they were the 100% writers of If I Ever Fall in Love. And he was like, those royalty checks are really good. And probably because they have 100% writer and own their publishing.
Yeah, man. You got so many people writing and no one, that's so wild that these brothers are not getting paid. And he's like, I've done songs with Mariah. Mariah's paid. How come I'm not getting paid? You know what I'm saying?
You know why? Because you said earlier about having the arms, the reach to have the right litigation in place to help you with that stuff. Like whoever probably helped structure her deal probably made sure
she's getting 100% of her shit.
Yeah,
she's getting every she puts out there. She's getting paid for that.
Yo, you know what we get caught with though? What he said that I was like, yo, that's the shit that I want.
$25,000.
But what he said though, that was like, this is what I've been waiting to hear. I always hear the artists that complain about these record deals, and my position on it is like, yo, bro, you signed that deal. It is what it is.
That's your deal.
But yeah.
But we started talking about a deal.
But you know what he said that I respected, and I was like, that's the shit I want to hear. He was like, yo, why am I being held accountable for a deal that I signed over 20-some years? He was like, I was 20-some years old, and here I am still paying the consequences for that deal. So to me, that's an acknowledgement to be able to say, like, your circumstances when you're 20, your education, how much knowledge you have as it relates to whatever the industry is substantially less 20 years later after you've had all this experience and you know the business. Like, that's why I think a union comes into place. Because if you had a union, you have representation out the gate, they probably be like, you know what, I'm advising against it. And don't think that people's attorneys are not advising them to not sign the deal. Because I'm sure plenty of attorneys are like, look, I wouldn't sign it, and dudes is in the hood and they like, yo, you know what?
I was listening to Oskino, right? He said, he was
Him and Beans? Was it him and Beans?
Yeah, he was on the streets and all that before he signed with Jay. He was living in Yonkers. He was hanging out with Styles and Pete, and then he got a little call to go fuck with with Jay, and he was saying something. He said the lawyer told him don't take the first deal. He's like, how you gonna tell me that?
Hungry.
How you tell me to leave $250,000? I just got shot 9 times.
Yeah.
Actually take my family out the hood, and you want me to give that deal? And if I give up that deal, and Jay-Z picks this other nigga and don't pick me, and then what? I lost $250,000. You can't do that. But like I said, it goes back to the deal. What he's like, yo, how can I just leave $250,000 on the table? I'm not doing that. Taking that first deal, and look what it did for him. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't leave $250,000 on the table either. Let a deal, like I said, a deal comes, and the three of us here, and they say, yo, you get $250 a piece. Y'all niggas better take it.
Yo, it's always a matter of what people's circumstances are, and that's what I'm saying. It's not like attorneys are telling these people like, yo, just take the money. There are some attorneys that's in bed, of course, with the label and telling them like, yo, sign, because they work in both ends of the spectrum. Right. But then there are attorneys that's looking at it and be like, yo, this is not a good deal. I wouldn't advise you. You're my client. I can tell you, I wouldn't advise you to sign it, and people still sign it. And they sign it because of what their circumstances are. Then you know what else happens is that people outperform the contract or whatever. But I don't know if you remember OC. We had OC on, and OC was talking about when he sold his publishing. And I remember saying something to him along the lines like, yo, you ain't regret it or this, that. He was like, it was a 6-figure check. And OC didn't have he was like, nah, I don't have no regrets for it. Because people aren't thinking about how their music lives on in perpetuity. They aren't thinking about the residuals. They're thinking about what it is that I could,
I think the curse is publishing ain't really paying nobody, and somebody is always going to get paid off of their publishing. So I might as well just cut ties from my publishing, because they're making money with features. They're making money at shows. Mm-hmm. If you listen to any of these artists, when they go abroad, when they got shows going abroad, they're cleaning up 5-6 shows. 200, 300,000. You know what I'm saying? They'll be in Berlin for about 3 weeks and come home with just paper. Not talking about merch and all that other stuff that they're selling up while they're out there too.
Hasn't this, two things. One, this pandemic has showed us that when the shows dry up, then that's when you need that publishing. Yeah, you're right. The labels have figured out a way to tap in on their merch coin, because now they sign them to the 360 deals where not only am I getting a piece of your publishing, your album sales, but I'm also getting a piece of your merch too. So what's up, Zane? How you doing?
What's up, brother?
What's going on, good brothers? Apologize for being late.
I already said you the diva of the crew. You got to make a grand entrance.
Nah, man. Nah, it was a lot of traffic on the road, man. And so I apologize for that.
Don't worry.
But what we talking about? We talking about a hip hop union, possibly?
We talking about Styles P. Do rappers need a union?
I agree, and I think that should have been like once record sales started diminishing and stuff like that. Well, I always figure that even from the essence of hip hop, like shout out to Kool Herc and everybody else, Grandmaster Cass and Grandmaster Flash, everybody that was actually like the foundation of the roots of hip hop. But I just think that, I mean, once like record sales started diminishing and piracy was at an all-time high back in like the mid-90s and all that, preferably I think like 96 or whatever it was, when Napster had that thing going on and all these other different streaming services, I figured that to me, to do something that's noble, but you know it's not gonna happen as far as these record execs, because they all about capitalism.
I was about to say that nobility cuts into the profit.
Right. So what I was thinking is that if they had any type of like integrity, they would have like restructured contracts, even if it was for like their main artists, and then the other ones that weren't like A, B, or C celebrities that was on that particular label, they would have to have like a criteria in order to get that. But the A, B, and C celebrities that's bringing in all this, generating all this millions upon billions of dollars, they should have been like the first three. Yeah, they should have been the first 3 tiers to be a part of some hip hop union. But now that, you know, as we know, like how all this stuff is going on now with the streaming services, and you got to mainly get like 100 million streams just to see some paper, as far as like on YouTube for artists out there.
You know what? It's funny you say that, like the tier system or whatever, because we essentially talking about is like social security for rappers. But here's the thing or whatever. Like there are industries that realize that long after people are at the peak of their careers, they require people to, they require assistance to stay afloat. So you think about like the NBA union. When the NBA players get paid, they take a certain portion of their money for retirement. The MLB, NFL, all of them take a certain portion of their money for retirement. Maybe hip hop needs to consider, where
some money away
for retirement, so that way people could be all right.
But who would be the main person to do it, being that they're at the forefront of mostly everything that's considered like the
Jay-Z,
like the staple of hip hop? Jay-Z. And if it's not Jay-Z, it got to be Diddy. It got to be somebody that has a long history of hip hop.
Diddy doing it. because it depends because I think Diddy is a great businessman, and I think Diddy has increased his wealth, capitalizing on his business acumen over people whose business acumen wasn't necessarily as great as his. And people say, oh, he's sleazy, he's slimy, he this, he that, whatever it is. When you enter into a business deal, I'm certain that they're giving people these contracts. This is what we were saying with Oskino and Jay-Z, giving people these contracts and saying, this is the deal. Look over the deal, take it to your attorney, have your attorney advise you on it. What's happening is people are signing the deals, and then afterwards they have buyer's remorse because the deals are long term, the deals are not good deals for them. It fits an immediate fix. You get a couple of dollars in your pocket, you get to say you won, you get to relocate, you get a nice house, you get whatever it is. But all of that stuff, you think about it, over the shelf life of these rappers' careers, the shows begin to decline, the album sales decline. I think that this pandemic has really exposed the importance of how people need to have their publishing and their paperwork in order. Because you need to figure out how you generate revenue when you're not performing in front of people.
You're not performing, right? That's the part of it, man. There comes dry spells where you still need to eat. You know what I'm saying? And you need to break yourself up in like 5 different parts. And if you only got one way coming in, once that dry up, nigga, you back at KFC.
What if you I'm sorry, go ahead. Now the one thing that I know somebody that's trying to do something who was a major influence in hip hop, not just in hip hop but in sports and marketing and all that, is Steve Stout. Steve Stout has a company called Masters, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it.
Right, and to what my understanding, I never really delved into it, but I understand that Steve Stout gives like publishing to the artists that are signed on to that particular label, correct?
It's supposed to be to give people an opportunity to own their to own their masters. It's supposed to be that, but that also comes with, and we were talking about this earlier, Zane. We were saying that one of the challenges with older artists. We were talking about new artists and old artists, and we were saying that new artists have kind of found a way where older artists have gotten stuck into doing these things that they've done previously and been successful with, so they refuse to change. So I can see that newer artists taking that risk and saying like, oh, you know what? Let me give this a shot and try out to. There are older artists that still are going around thinking that they need a deal on a major record label. Where you have newer artists that are like, nah, my video on YouTube, I got 100 million views. Subscribers. I had this, that. Who you signed to?
SoundCloud and DatPiff and
So it's a shift that needs to happen in order for the market to kind of get to that place where people have a good understanding, a good knowledge of it. And more than anything, you know what you need? You need proof of concept. Right? Somebody else to do it and demonstrate like this is how it was done, and I was able to reap the benefits of it. Once that happens, then there'll be other people I think that'll fall in line and be inclined to do it.
Yeah.
Sure.
They need a union. Get a union out there, and things will work better for the artists. I think the artists will work a little harder too, man, with making sure things is in place from a deal perspective. I like artists who don't mind going independent and still work with the majors. Somebody like Jadakiss, like he doesn't mind treading both. If there's a certain project he's working on, he knows that can work, and the machine can get it, and the machine can come behind it and do what they need. I'll give it to the machine. But then if there's a Locks project where I know me, Sheik, and P can go hit the street and it just be street, and I know I'll get the same buzz. That right there is where an artist would want to be.
You know what that's about?
I don't mind working with any one of them. You know what I'm saying?
You know what that's about though? But I saw an interview and they was asking him about that, and he was saying that he'd rather go with a major all day. That's why he on Def Jam, but he was like Styles and Sheik prefer to go to independent route. I just want to go back to the union thing too. Like what a lot of people don't realize about a union, unions only have strength when it's in numbers and everybody buys into the concept of a union, right? So I'll give you an example, not relative to this, but to sports. When A-Rod wanted to leave the Texas Rangers, remember before he was in the process of getting traded to the Yankees and all that or whatever, A-Rod was trying to figure out how to reduce his contract so that he could move on because every team was telling him it's too much money to take on. The union was opposed to it. Anytime people in the union start talking about taking pay cuts, unions are opposed to it. And the reason why is because it decreases the market.
Values, yeah.
Yeah. So that's the other part about when you have a union. When you start talking about a union, you start talking about uniformity also. Some people could get with it. Some people feel like it caps whatever I'm doing. I want to be free to maneuver however I want to maneuver.
Right. That's right. You're right about that.
That's something I think that they should consider.
I'm glad you brought that up, because just like how you have the regular economy with inflation, it's inflation in all facets of entertainment, especially with hip hop. Because if it wasn't, these rappers wouldn't be getting such a low ball number on their streams. You know what I'm saying? That's why people.
What is the stream numbers like?
Wow!
Like a 10th of a penny. It's crazy. It's like a 10th of a penny. For every stream is like a 10th of a penny or something like that.
I remember the one person that's in the industry that actually put the chart out. Look on Kareem Biggs. You have it? But the only artist that I knew that actually put it out on social media was Kareem Biggs from Rockefeller. He had the chart. He had a chart of every streaming service that's out. That's credible.
Yeah, I have it. When I find it out, when I look through my pictures and stuff, I'll send it to you guys. But it's, I think the highest streaming service, the highest streaming platform is Tidal. Yeah. Tidal, and that's why people go with Tidal. But even with that, there's people that stream millions of records and get here's $2,000. You stream,
right. And you stream like 2 million, 2 billion times.
Yeah. So Dane was saying, like, Napster, like, I think a lot of people attribute Napster to the death of physical CD sales. Or Napster, to me, contributed to the decline in CD sales. But only thing Napster did was make the recording industry reconfigure what their business is. So the recording industry was like, fine, if everything is going digital, then we're going to figure out how we get the artists for their money on the digital end rather than the physical CD sales. And think about it. The recording industry actually saved money because no longer do you have to actually pay to manufacture a CD.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't have to pay. It's the same thing with like recording costs. Like, Rob, I'm sure back in the days, you remember people's studios had reels, 8 DATs, and
there was a whole lot of shit in them studios.
Yeah.
just to record a song, B.
Yeah, and you had to people had to literally walk around with that stuff on them. They had to store, all that stuff had to be stored and everything. Now everything is literally in a file.
That fast.
Everything is in a file.
Thank God for cloud, right?
So what happens is, and again, back to what Funkmaster Flex was saying, what happens is that if you don't switch up, you're bound to get,
you're going to get swallowed up. You have to change with the times. You have to. You have to stay glued to the streets. Find out, okay, what a young person, just pay attention. Pay attention. You get caught off into being, this old fogey dude, and you sticking to you're gonna get swallowed up, man. You're gonna get swallowed up.
We was talking about Zane. We was talking earlier about Master P and Master P's entrepreneurial spirit, and I'm bringing Master P up now because I think about forward-thinking deals, and I think Master P to me did one of the boldest forward-thinking deals that I've ever seen. It didn't work, but it was forward-thinking. When Master P had Ricky Williams, and he was Ricky Williams' sports agent.
I think so, yeah.
He was. I don't know if he was Ricky Williams' sport agent, and he had Ricky Williams sign this contract that was incentive laden, and basically it was like probably may have been like the highest paying contract all time for a running back. But in order for him to get all the money, he had to meet all of these incentives, and the incentives would have had him surpassing shit like that Barry Sanders did. So he bet on himself, and it was forward thinking, but it wasn't guaranteed money. It was, so his deal ended up coming out, and I think it's in the No Limit documentary. They talk about it. His deal ended up coming out to be substantially less than what it could have been because it was incentive laden. But that's forward thinking and saying that, here's a potential for me to monetize or further monetize what this guy's, what this guy potentially could make. My issue with a contract like that is in football, injuries at an all-time high. Like football, you could be playing one day and paralyzed the next. So I'd take as much guaranteed money as possible.
And Ricky Williams smoked himself out the league, son. He's like, fuck, I'm gonna get high.
He did. He's a big player in the cannabis industry now.
Yes, he is. Big player.
He's a big.
You get to have him on the show.
Yeah, but yo, like I said, like I think Styles P is definitely on to something with rappers having a union. Like I want to see the full gambit though. I want to see the union come on when a person signs, and I want to see what union representation looks like for a person that's in their latter years of their career. Like I don't just want to see, I'm jacked up now. Get in there.
And a lot of these publishing companies feel have the freedom to renegotiate with these artists who have put in work. Like Zane said, man, there should be a tier system, man. If you have an artist that's been on your label and he's been producing great work, putting out good music, his music is consistent with his listeners. They're always out there, they're buying the music. He crosses certain genres. He's working with other artists. You should absolutely renegotiate your deal, a publishing deal with these artists so they can get paid. Their children can get paid. Styles P catalog is extensive, and he's only getting paid 25 grand. Lord knows.
Yeah. Well, remember the labels. Labels at any time can renegotiate. It's the publishing, and these deals are also about leverage. So tell me, and I'm just thinking from you guys' perspective, if you held Biggie's publishing, you were the chief holder of Biggie's publishing, and well, let's not use Biggie because there's heartstrings attached to that. But you held the publishing to somebody who sold millions of records, and they came to you and was like, "Yo, Rob, Zane, yo, let me get my publishing back." What's your motivation for giving them their publishing back when it generates millions of dollars a year for you?
My honestly, for me, I would deal with it from an integrity standpoint. I would give them their publishing.
You would give it to them?
I would give it to them and make sure I get 15%. I would give 85. Make sure you can eat. Remember.
So if it's a $1 million catalog, a million dollar catalog, you would settle for taking 150 grand of it?
Yep. Okay. If I didn't do the work, I didn't do no work.
Okay.
They did all the work.
All right, I'll give you my take on that. What about you, Zane? You would give it back to them?
I agree with Rob, but I'll be more towards, I would say I say at least an 80-20 split.
80-20 split.
Yeah. The 80-20 sound pretty fair. But see, the only thing about it is that these artists, whether they are artists from back in the day or artists that are current right now and artists that's about to get signed, they know the gauntlet. Everybody know about Diddy. Like if they don't know about Diddy and don't know about all these other record label execs that messed over these artists, then they deserve to get bad deals. Because at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, just like how you brothers said before I tuned in, you can build up your own reputation and sell plenty of records. Now, the only thing is people need to adopt the same marketability that T.I., Jeezy, Master P, Lil Flip had. Back then, they were selling like CDs out the trunk. All people got to do, like current artists right now, and even artists from back in the day, whatever, get a QR code, and you pass out the QR codes. The QR codes.
If you're under contract, you can't perform under it because the label technically own your name. So if you're under contract,
no. Remember what I said several sentences ago? I said like when I mentioned like to sell the stuff out their trunk, do it independently. You have the QR code.
Have a deal.
Yeah, do it without a deal, and then you build your reputation up that way. And then if a label want to sign you, you start your own record company, sign yourself, and then partnership. Not go like this and just sign. You're not signed to yourself. Once you go like this,
you made a good point because what you said, you was like, well, if they signing and they know it and they deserve to be jerked. But what you're saying is that people are signing because of their circumstances. They signing because they like, yo, I'm jacked up. Here's a $50,000 advance. I know it's a bad deal. They sign it. They get the 50 grand. They take off and they outperform the contract. And then they become mad at the person who's making money off of it. but they knew getting into it, you know, how you call it. So here's my position on it. I wouldn't give a person back their publishing. I'd sell it back to them.
Sell it back to them?
I would sell it back to them. I'd sell a percentage to them. You know why I would sell a percentage?
So a percentage.
I would sell a percentage.
You'll be P. Diddy of the city. P. Diddy of the city, right?
Right. What percentage are you selling?
All percentages available for sale, depending on what the money like. Yo, I'm just being real. It depends.
No doubt. I feel you.
Yo, what the money is like. You know why? Because how you call it? The way to look at this is like, yo, if the person catalog is worth $1 million and I'm only making $1 million a year, I'm gonna give them 850,000 of it, and I'm gonna take 150,000 of it.
I get you, but for me, it's their catalog. That's what it is for me, because
you know what it is.
I'm just making money. I'm making money scot free off of it anyway.
No, hold on a second. You know what it is, Rob? Here's the thing that I think that gets lost in the right. It's their catalog, but how did you get the catalog?
They signed that deal. They signed it away.
No. You think in terms of labeling. You think in terms of label, because people, you could sign to a label and be on the label and owe the label X amount of dollars, whatever your splits are on album sales. Publishing is something different. When people sign, they set up their publishing, right? So they set up their publishing. They own their publishing. In order for them to in order for you to get their publishing, there had to be something in the deal where guess what they did for you to get the publishing?
That fucking deal word.
They sold at some point in time, they sold to you. So that's like me buying a share. You buy a share in a company, Rob, for $5.
I feel you. I see what you're saying.
Right? And then all of a sudden, shares worth $5 million, and they come to you and like, yo, I didn't realize it was gonna be worth $5 million. Yo, you could say integrity or whatever. I'm not gonna be like, well, I only bought it for $5.
All right, here you go. I'm gonna give it to you now. I'm just gonna give it to you now.
I'm just gonna give it back to you because you was the one up the company. It's an investment. And you can't be mad at the person because they say, you know what, you want to sell it. You think about it, OC said he sold his publishing for a six-figure check. Now, who's to say? All we talk about when it comes to these deals and this publishing stuff, all we talk about is the people who got these good publishing deals, right? That bought publishing from people that's successful. I'm sure somebody done been like, yo, here's 50 grand, let me get your publishing. And then it'd be a situation where the person never perform up to it and you're like, yo, this is a dud. This person had one good song or whatever, or one mediocre song, and I'm probably gonna make this.
Not eating up for nothing. Yeah, you're not eating up for nothing.
Yeah. So it's hit or miss.
It's hit or miss. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's hit or miss.